Hey guys, Ken Calcutt here with Cornerstone Financial Management. Wanted to bring you an update today. I want to talk about what we call non-traditional assets. Most of you are probably familiar with the most common types of assets that we use to build portfolios. We have stocks and bonds and mutual funds and ETFs. Very common how we build a portfolio investing in those items. But we commonly get asked by clients about what we call non-traditional assets. So I just wanted to touch on them today, give you our viewpoint on some of these, some pros and cons, and hopefully it's helpful. So what I'm going to do is there's four I want to touch on today. The first one is simple enough. It's just cash. A lot of clients ask about cash. Should I have cash? How much cash should I keep in my portfolio? I have no problem with clients having cash as part of their wealth. I think it's a responsible thing to have. The point of asset allocation is that you don't want all of your assets doing the same thing at the same time. So cash is a nice item to hold when other assets may be losing value. So I have no problem at all with cash. It just needs to be a reasonable portion of your net worth, not a large portion of your net worth. So cash is fine. Real estate is another one. A lot of clients ask about real estate. Again, I have no problem with real estate. I think real estate's a great investment. It has to be proportionate in your portfolio or in your wealth. So there's a lot of ways to get into real estate. Some people like to buy rental properties. Some people like to flip properties. And some people just like to have exposure to real estate in an investment portfolio in something like a REIT or real estate investment trust. Those are pretty common. Real estate's more complex. There's a lot of moving parts to it. So I would caution you if you get into real estate, you do need to know what you're doing, but I think it's perfectly fine to have a portion of your portfolio exposed to real estate because real estate does often move different than stocks and bonds. So no problem there, but again, keeping it as a relatively minor portion of your wealth. What about gold? 5 to 10% of a portfolio I think is reasonable. If you have a preference to hold the gold in your possession, I think that's fine. If you want gold in your portfolio, that's easy to do. You can buy ETFs that basically track the pricing of gold without actually buying the gold coin. So you get the exposure to the movement of the gold asset without having to buy it. Either way is fine. It's a non-traditional asset. It's going to move different than stocks and bonds do. I think that's fine to diversify the portfolio. The only hang-up I have with gold, Warren Buffett had a comment about gold years ago, is that it doesn't produce anything. So similar to like if we bought a stock, the stock of a company, I would be expecting it to either pay me a dividend or produce growth in the form of profits. It's producing something. It's producing growth or it's producing dividends. Gold does neither. So gold is a store of wealth, and I understand why a lot of people hold it, but my only hang-up is it doesn't pay dividends and it doesn't produce any growth. I simply hope that someone will pay me more for it later when I go to sell it. So you got to be mindful of that with gold. The last one I'll touch on is crypto. We won't go into detail. It's super volatile. I personally don't own it because I don't understand it completely, to be transparent. It is presented as a currency. I don't see a valid way it can be used as a currency long term. Therefore, I have reservation about buying it. But some people like to own crypto. Again, I'd be very small portion on this one. If you add that to your portfolio, do not get overexposed. It might do great, but it may completely flop. We don't know yet. Highly volatile. Security, if you will. So I'd be real guarded with this. I'm not saying it won't do well, but I simply don't know, and I would be very cautious with it. So these are probably the top 4 assets we get asked about. I hope that's helpful. I think it's okay to have most of these in your portfolio in some capacity most of the time, but you have to be smart about not overexposing to any of them and keeping your overall wealth portfolio balanced out. So hopefully that's helpful. If you have any questions for us, reach out anytime. Thank you.